I'm like, why am I experiencing life like this? Like, life is so short. First, I wanted to point the finger at everybody else. Like, you're not doing this. You're not doing this. Why is this? Why can't this happen? And I was like, oh, wait, it's me. Like, I'm the problem in my own life. Like, I'm not making decisions.
Today's guest is Varona, an award-winning photographer and nonprofit founder whose lens has helped shape the visual language of culture. Raven is known for capturing icons, building worlds, and telling stories through imagery that feels both intimate and powerful. But in this episode, we're not just talking about what she's created. We're talking about who she's becoming and the lessons from her 20s and mid-30s that have brought her to the present version of who she is. I was very excited about this conversation because I personally love being in my 30s. And that is not to say some shit hasn't gone down, because it has. But I actually love who I am and how I'm dealing with things and just all of that. And I run into so many people all the time. Even just I had a 29-year-old say to me 2 weeks ago, on my birthday, I'm going to be 29 forever because I'm not turning 30. And I was like, bitch, you don't even know what you're missing. The clarity that you get when you get in those 30s is...
I wish I could have this feeling in my 20s. I would have done so many things different. It's crazy. And I feel like I meet people all the time and they're they want to lie about their age, or they I don't want to be in my 30s. And I'm like, as a woman and as a human being, I feel like I am the best version of myself here. It's incredible. It's incredible, but it's hard. Can I curse on here?
Yes.
It's fucking hard.
You can say anything.
It's so hard because I think that especially where we are in the world, everybody is mental health and self-work and these buzzwords. Mm-hmm. But I'm the self-work you do in your 30s, it's crazy. It's very you versus you and singular, but it's so beautiful and enriching. And my life feels it's coming out of a little tunnel. And I'm my life feels it's in color in a different way. But it's now that I know better, I have to do better. And I think that is the part sometimes that can be hard, because in your 20s, you're just well, I didn't know that. Well, I'm learning. And by your 30s, you have all of these monumental real life learned lessons that now you have to put into practice. And I think a lot of times with self-work, people want to do all the talking and the journaling and the things, which I do too. I do all the things. I do all the mood things. I do all the self-help things. But then it's okay, now I got to put it into action. And that's when it becomes very real and very hard. So I think that's where I'm at. But I love it.
Now that you've made it across the threshold of the 30s.
I'm 35.
I'm fucking 36. I just turned 36
I'm
in January.
Well, I can't even say early 30s. I'm
middle 30s.
I'm in them. I'm in my 30s.
Yes. Now that we're middle 30s.
Middle 30s.
That's what we'll say in the cut, by the way. Thank you. You're middle 30 and you have a lot of clarity. Do you feel like it would have been possible in your 20s, if somebody would have told you, or if you knew any little bit of what you've learned now, to do your 20s differently or set yourself up better? Had anybody told you anything?
So it's interesting because I was talking about my therapist once, because I felt I had a lot of regret from the ages of 19 to 23.
Okay.
Of I dropped out of school, but I also was working to take care of me and my mom. And then I was really leaning in. I had started photography and so it was a lot happening. And I think I carried that energy a lot in my 20s of I should have did this, or my life should be this way. And at the time, my therapist was well, at that time, that version of you got you here. You wouldn't be here without that version of you. So you can't just be mad at that version and punishing that version almost. And I was that is true. But in the same vein, I feel I could have been a better version of that person.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily know if I would have done the big things differently. I think all of those things led me here and I love where I'm at. but I think that I would have spent more time learning about who I wanted to be, my voice, and how I wanted to exist in like my creative world of like who I am as a boss and as a leader and what kind of work I create and what kind of stories I tell, and just taking more creative risks to like get messy and try things versus trying to deliver things that I thought people would like, if that makes sense.
Why do you think the mindset that you ended up in trumped all of the things that you're saying right now? Like, why didn't you allow yourself to be risky? Why didn't you ask yourself certain questions? Or did this not even come to your mind in your 20s?
I don't think it came to my mind. I think first and foremost, like I grew up, like I think coming out of where I came from, I'm from the Bronx. I think I grew up really poor. I didn't know that then because I very much use my creativity to romanticize life. And I'm like, my mom did a really good job of like, you step back and you're like, whoa, I don't know how we made it. I mean, I lived in a 1-bedroom until I was like 27, and I could afford to move her out of that 1-bedroom and get another place. So a lot of my life was like built out of like survival to get to the next place. Like my drive, my ambition, my like tunnel vision of like, I gotta be better. I gotta do this. I gotta achieve this was off the strengths of like, I want to make a better life for us. And because of that, I don't think I allowed myself the space, or I even thought about the space of like, well, what would it look like if I shot on film for 3 months, or medium format, or digitally this way? I'm just using examples of like, or I was doing like personal projects. Like I was like, I wasn't spending time doing personal projects. So I was like, I need to get paid. Like I need to do work stuff, things that are gonna like garner me a paycheck and take me to the next level. And because of that, I didn't spend time like just playing. Like I think play for me, I would assume for you and anybody in their field, is so important because that's when you learn like what you like and how, like what you want to say and what you want to do. And I think for me, I wasn't thinking about that. I was very serious about getting to the next level. But now looking back, I'm like, that's very unserious. Like to be serious about your craft, I think you have to lean into it fully and try things. And I don't think I was across the board. Like I think even like my sense of self, like things I like, things I want to, like hobbies, all of these things I wasn't thinking about. I was just like, okay, I want to be the best at what I do, and I want to work with the best, and I want to be in the best rooms. Like, how do I get there? And my 30s have lent me the time and like just these monumental things that have happened to me where I'm like, oh wait, who am I? And like, what do I like? And what is my purpose in like a very big way, but also like, how do I want to show up in the world and how do I want my work to show up? So I think that is something I would have done differently.
Is it possible to recognize that you're in survival mode when you're in survival mode?
I think that you have glimpses of it sometimes. Like it's almost like it's the same to me about like having hope. Like you have to have hope sometimes in like dire situations to make it through into the other side. But I think when you're in survival mode, I mean, maybe at like the lowest of low, but the way growing up, I think I didn't really realize it. Like I knew like, okay, we don't have money and I don't have a lot of money and like, it's not going to be easy, which is why I think some people have like imposter syndrome, or they don't feel like they should be in these rooms or they should be doing what they're doing. I mean, maybe I've had a little bit of that throughout time. But again, I think for me, I was just like, I don't think you notice it until you're out of it. Like, I think that like I went back to my neighborhood, maybe like, I mean, I'm always there. I'm always visiting, but I went back and I like drove down my block, like the first apartment I lived in my whole life. And I was like looking around and I was like, I had no sunlight in that apartment. Like the sun, because of where the building was, and I lived on the ground floor in like the alleyway, the sun never hit my apartment. It never shined through, right? And I'm like, that is such an insane thing. But also, if you know me, I'm always taking a photo of a sunset, or I always want big windows and these things. And like even moving to LA, it was like the weather. But it's also like growing up, I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize that I wasn't like seeing the sun as something as simple as that. Or like even how crazy it was to live the way we lived. I think that I just didn't know. And because my mom was so good at like pushing imagination and creativity and allowing me to just like be in that space, in that world of like play, I just was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, I leaned to art and I leaned to like stories and photos and other people and wanting to hear about other people and their lives. And that led me to where I am here. So I don't think I was really like, oh, I'm the ghetto child. Like, it's the struggle. But I think I was like, okay, like, we don't have a car, we don't have a 2-bedroom, or like, you know, I gotta get it. And she was very much like, you gotta get it. Like, you gotta work hard. So that's why I think I was like having all these little side jobs and doing those things, but I don't think in the moment you really know. And I think that sometimes you don't know what it does to like your nervous system, or how you don't have the space to like think about other things.
I can relate. So that's why I'm like sitting here thinking about it, that I'm like, man, like, I wish I was as motivated about things as I was in my 20s. Like, that was a good time. I thought every day I was going to die. So it's like,
I was up till 3 a.m.
I got to get it. And I think, you know, that's not to be taken for granted, because like you said, it got you to where you are. I thought that I was supposed to have everything that I have right now when I turned 25. I don't know how you felt about 25, but to me, that was like a full grown adult. And if my dreams and all this wasn't realized when I turned 25, I've completely failed in life. And I don't know why the fuck I thought that. If you're talking to a young adult in their 20s right now, like, what is the appropriate kind of pressure to put on yourself? And what expectations should you like not have or reduce in your 20s when you should be playing and exploring and having a good time?
I think the first thing I would say to someone at 25 is like, what do you want? Are you asking yourself actually, like, what do you want? Because when I got in my 30s, I was like, I don't want a house yet. I was like, I don't want to do that. If I have a problem right where I'm at right now, and I think obviously I lost my mom 3 years ago, so I feel like I'm also like very much rebelling from responsibility. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I want kids. I don't know if I want a house. I can live in an apartment, whatever. We'll be fine. But I think I don't like, what do you want? Do you want these things because people are telling you want these things? Do you want these things because you didn't have them when you were a child? Do you want them just because you want them? Or are you telling yourself you need to have these things because of what other people are telling you? That is the first thing I would probably ask
You're
them.
asking two different questions, and I'm going to slow you down because it's very important. You just said in your 20s, ask yourself, what do you want? And separately ask yourself, why do you want it?
True.
It's very different, and something that doesn't happen.
Yes. And I think
you don't start whining until you celebrate that 30th birthday.
Fair. And you also don't ask why. But I think that's what I would tell them.
Yes.
I would be like, you need to ask why. You need to say, why do I want this? Because that might completely dictate like if you actually want it. Mm-hmm. And then you can have like a focal point to how are you going to go get it?
Yeah.
I'd be like, do I want this? Or do I think I should be doing this? And then you start to do things and you're like, I don't want that. But if you're not even trying out or asking yourself the whys, then you kind of can get in a really sticky space of just being on this hamster wheel of doing things because you're like, I got to achieve this. But why? What? Maybe it sounds like kind of existential of like this self-actualization. But I think if we asked ourselves why earlier, it would lend us to knowing what we wanted quicker. And then we could do the things that we want to do.
I'm sitting here thinking about like what my whys would have really been back then. And they were all like, because I've seen this on TV, or somebody else has this, or that looks cool. Or I'm literally looking at somebody who I think is 25 and they're probably 40. And I'm like,
especially if they're in LA.
Yeah, because adults look different. And you're like, I just want what this person has without asking why or what they have to go through to get, just asking any questions besides just making statements.
Right.
I think in your 20s, you just make a lot of declarations about things you don't know shit about. And you don't really research because you're like, I'm just going to get it and I'm going to do the things. And I work so hard and I'm in survival mode. I got all these pressures. I'm about to go do it. And you don't have any, I'm big on like talking to yourself now.
Same.
And I think people think that it's crazy to have conversation with yourself. I think that it's crazy to not. So I'm like, who are you talking
to? We're on the other side of it. We're like, this, you need it. But also, like, I think that who we were in our 20s and like the girl, everybody in their 20s now is they're having a different experience as well, right?
For sure.
Because like we weren't asking why, but also now even more in the last decade, they're being told what they should want, right? And that's why I think like when I say like, oh, you should play more, obviously for me, a big part of it is like creatively because I'm an artist, but I mean across the board. I think how you date, how you live your life, how you choose your friends, all of these things, like you need to experience life and ask yourself why you like something or if you like something, and then you can make a decision instead of being like going online and being told like you should dress like this and you should like this and you should have this house and be doing this. It's like, well, yeah, if you keep being told that, you're going to think that. But like if you stop back, you'll be like, I don't want any, I might want to drive an RV around America because I like to travel and I want to be in nature and I want to be outdoors. I don't want a house. But you're told like you're not successful if you don't have a home or you don't have a successful relationship that looks this way or a job that pays you 6 figures and you're doing this. And it's like, it's also relative and nuanced to who you are as a person, but you don't, I think that because you don't ask the questions sometimes, we don't realize that we don't actually know who we are. So I would tell them you need to get there sooner and a little easier so you don't have to be on the struggle bus like me through my Saturn return, being like, who am I? What's going on? And then I stopped and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is who I want to be.
Play. We're going to break it down. How do we play more in dating? Because once you get to your...
I don't know. I'm a serial monogamous dater. It's actually ridiculous.
Okay. Your practice what you preach.
I think that like from 17 to like 23, I had no boyfriend.
Okay.
I was just
free as a bird.
Hanging out at the clubs, being at the tables, going on dates, having situationships, being heartbroken, all the things.
And you wouldn't change a thing?
No.
Okay.
I love it because I think that now, first of all, I think it made me a better person. I think the experience made me a better person and made me learn myself. And again, lent me like what I like and what I don't like. But also it made me really appreciative of when I got into a relationship that I was like, oh, this is like my forever relationship. These are the things I want and need. But also I don't feel regret. Like I don't think I'll ever be in a space where I'm like, oh, I wish I could have did this. I wish I could have went on this date or did this. It's like, I did those things and then I dated. And when it didn't work, they ended and I just moved on. And I didn't like harp on like, oh, this relationship didn't work. Let me not date again. Or I was very vulnerable in that space. So I think the play is understanding that life is long when it comes to that. And there's a lot of time to experience people and life with someone. And so you should. I'm not like, I don't judge. First of all, I don't yuck anyone's yum, okay? And I don't judge anybody that like, if you meet somebody at 19 and you're like, this is the love of my life and I want to be with them, maybe that's
go off.
I'm not here to judge you. But I'd be like, why? If you can answer the why is this the person and what do you want and how, then sure. But sometimes I think the majority of people don't ask themselves that. And so I would just say like, allow yourself to experience in dating. But now my other thing I would tell younger people is like, again, the expectations that people have for dating, I don't think make sense. And I think I will argue this down. I think that we all should not be on the same internet. I think it should go by like age and stat of life.
You want me to be on middle 30s internet?
Yeah, you need to be on middle 30s rich auntie internet. That's where you should be. I could maybe dibble and dabble there too. But I think that like there's no reason a girl in her 20s should be expecting her man to take her on a yacht and buy her a Birkin and do all these things. I just don't think that's realistic. Like you're in college and this is what you're expecting. Why? The greatest part about a relationship is having someone to just yap with, cuddle up with, do life with, like the hard things, the easy things, and spend time with, like having a forever constant friend and partner. And like, how do you get to know them if all you're doing is like putting these expectations on them?
I think if we asked ourselves our why before in our 20s with any guy we dated, like it was like, he cute. Like that was kind of it. Like that's all I was looking for. I didn't have Instagram in my 20s for somebody to be like, oh, is your man not taking you on a yacht? He broke. And now you're like, oh my God.
Or like TikTok of like dating goals.
You said this earlier, but you make a valid point. There is more people telling you what to do in your 20s this day and age than before, because I guess it was probably just our parents and our peers and like a very small circle that you had access to, and then MySpace, where we didn't really discuss those type of things.
We had MySpace to Facebook to
that's not what we were talking about.
That's not what we were talking about. We were on there drunk, like, meet you in the cafeteria,
having fun. I can't tell you like a baddie. I don't know a Facebook baddie that I aspired to be like. That was not a thing.
No, for sure.
It was me.
It was big, like the level of maintenance, the idea of dates. None of that was that. Like, it just wasn't what that was. And no one was telling you that it was wrong, because they were like, oh, you're in your 20s. Like, but when you get in your 30s, or when you're in your late 20s, when you're in your 30s, you need to expect your partner to do this. Everyone is being told all day long, this is what you should do. This is who you should be. I feel like even when people listen to this, I am not telling you what you should do. I'm just asking you if you care about yourself, to ask yourself more questions, and whatever answer you come to, then it can lend you to like where you want to go, or what you want to do, or what kind of partner you want.
How do you play
in your career?
Especially when you're not fucking playing about your career.
We need a shirt. We need merch for this. Okay. So again, I think for me, I am a creative. My job is creative. I want to start there. I've been self-employed for over a decade. I started a foundation. So I guess founder, boss, creative, right? I think you have to spend more time working on personal projects that don't have anything to do with anything else, that are not strictly to gain for money. They're not gigs. They're not client services off of somebody else. It's strictly just you and your idea, because there's something very scary about really trusting your idea. And I know that you can see people talk about it all the time. Like, I have a million ideas, but then putting it on paper, putting it to action, and putting it out in the world is very scary. And for me, I'm like, the minute I put something out, it's no longer mine, right? Like, I spend all this time with it. I grow it. I put all my love and care into it, and then I have to release it. But also, I have to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. I think that sometimes I didn't take my personal work as serious as I would take like client work or gig work. And I stopped and I'm like, I'm not taking this seriously. And this is what I actually care about. This is what brings me joy. This is what keeps it being a passion. This is what like makes me feel like I'm living in my purpose, but it also allows me to learn. Like technically it allows me to learn, because I'm like, okay, I need to be educated. If I want to, right now I'm trying to write a film. So I'm like, I need to be all in. I need to be reading. I need to be watching films. I need to be just fully immersed in this world of like characters and locations and dialogue and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't even stop sometimes to watch movies, because I'm like, I gotta go do this. Like, and I'm like, I don't have enough research for myself to even get in here and sit. I'm like, to sit down and just write. I have all this fear when it comes to like sitting with myself and doing my own things, because I have all these like little inside voices that starts to be like, well, who's going to like it? Or what about if people think this? And I think it's also because I don't spend enough time doing that and realizing it doesn't matter. So it does feel like the biggest end of the world thing for me sometimes, versus if I had spent a lot of time playing, making my own things, trying things, releasing them, not releasing them, I probably would be more comfortable. Mm-hmm. I probably would feel like I trusted myself more. But when you don't, I feel like it can feel very vulnerable and hard. And then you're left like very serious, but then very unserious, because you're not doing anything. And I think I'm like, well, I'm saying all these things and I'm not doing the things I want to do because I don't trust myself, because I've never really allowed myself to do them. And that feels very unserious, saying I want to do stuff and not doing stuff. And I'm a very serious person. So I'm like, okay. So I've been allowing myself to like just immerse myself in my like play, in my like career play.
You are better equipped to conquer your fears in your 20s than in your 20s than in your 30s, where maybe because you have responsibilities, or like you said, you don't have a history of doing something scary or doing your own vision or trusting yourself. You said self-trust. If you had started doing that earlier, you would have had the time to build this up, and you wouldn't be having this kind of shock, I guess, of right now of like, you're like, I need time to research. I need time to do this. I need time to do that.
For sure.
So in your 20s, you're saying, run through the wall.
Run through the wall.
Do your own thing.
Yes.
Value your own work more than you value money and a job. Is there a reason that you think you were valuing client work over yourself and the things that you wanted to do?
Doing client work and getting instant gratification, whether it was being paid, which is a big one, right? Because I'm like trying to make a living for myself and grow. That's so number one, money made me feel like I valued it more. But it also put me in a hamster wheel of like, do they like it? Or do they not? And not ask myself, do I like it? Because no matter what, if you're doing client services, you have to appease the client in whatever capacity that you're doing it. And so I think appeasing clients or appeasing fans or appeasing everybody else but myself. And that's not to say that I didn't like the work I've done. I am very proud of everything I put out. There are some things I'm like, this could have been better. This could have been better if I like let myself the time to like try a little more in like maybe like the creative space. But I think it was really about appeasing other people and getting paid. And so I was like, oh, I like it. Or who I was around, do you guys like it? What do you think about it? I'm always asking people like, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? This is like the first year of my life that I want to stop saying, what do you think? That I want to be like, what do I think? What do I feel about it? So that if you're like, well, I don't really like it, I'm like, well, fuck you, Amber. I don't care. I mean, that's nice, but I like it. But I never walk around being like, well, I don't care, unapologetically. I'm always like, well, what do you guys think? Well, like, because it matters, and I'm making art like, and I'm like, I want to make things that I believe in so confidently and I love so much because I know I gave it 1,000. And I think I can give something 100% effort, but when I say like I want to give it 1,000, it's like I want to give it all of that messy experience I tried. And like I can go, you know what? This is the best I could do. And if I think that this is the best I can do, then I'm cool with it. And so I think that realizing that I wasn't giving myself that space and that I was caring so much about what other people thought, I was giving it 100, but I wasn't giving it the best that I could do because that is not the best. The best that I can do is like really, really, I hate saying trying because it's not that, but I think like just allowing myself to lay it all out there almost. Like let every idea out of my brain come out, try it, experiment, play in it, and then I can say this is the best. So, and I know I'm a hard critic, and I think I'm probably going to watch this and be like, I'm so hard on myself. But I think that people could be a little harder on themselves. I think you can. You could be a little hard on yourself. So don't take it out.
Serious
Keep it.
But unserious.
Serious but unserious. But like, y'all a little unserious. We're all a little unserious. I just realized I'm a little unserious.
So what was the shift? What was the wake up call for this?
So many things. So my mom passed away 3 years ago. And I feel like I always, people are like, well, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel like I'm raw dogging life now. Like I'm just doing it on my own of like, there's no like, you know, a lot of times your parent, whether it's your mom, your dad, your grandma, someone in your life, a lot of times is the person that's like, you got this, you're doing great. Like you could, you know, like my mom was like, it's me and you against the world and you're brilliant. And like, if I've had any doubt ever about anything, whether it was like buying groceries or taking a photo, she would like reassure me. So there was like that codependency of reassurance. And also she was like my motivation. Because to me, I'm like, I'm successful in my life if I can afford a life for myself and take care of my mom. If I could move my mom, if I could take her on vacation, if I'm like making more money, like I'm successful, right? And so when she passed away, I was like, okay, you gotta like become a new person. Mm-hmm. And then you have to like learn who that person is. So I kind of had the space to relearn who I was. And I was like, who is Raven now? And who do I want to be? With all this grief, but just, I mean, it was all happening at the same time. Like, I'm 32, I live in LA, like I'm in a new relationship. So I felt like it was all of these new beginnings, like, who the fuck am I? And not having her in that reassurance, I started to be like, okay, I don't have motivation. Like, I'm leaning into my fear so much. Like, it's like, I almost felt like I not even became lazy, but I became like crippled by just the fear to do things and like overwhelmed. And I started like doing like little things that I knew I was good at, like being more like living in my social spaces, being with my friends, like little, like all these little things instead of like leaning into like the harder things for me. And so that was one big part. I think I started having like newer friends in my life, which I feel like Lacey and Anne, my relationship with Bruno, Ramya, whatever, all of these people that are like, I'm having different conversations about it and new perspectives and they're like, well, that's not true. But who told you that? Or like, I joined like a women's group called Let It Break. And we're doing like all this inner work and we're talking about like surrendering to our fears. And I'm listening to all these people talk and I'm like, oh, okay, how am I experiencing this? But then I think all of those things, all encompassing, made me like stop because I felt like I didn't like myself in it. I felt very consumed with like fear and with grief. And I'm like, what is my purpose? And then I started being like, okay, well, I'm not getting hired for this. Do I want to do this? Or like, I think last year was a slow year for me. So it was like all of these things happening at once that forced me to like stop and be like, okay, girl, like, who are you? Like, what do you want to do? And so it got me here from like sitting with myself, talking to other people, starting to like try to like, I think be a little more selfish in my own day-to-day and process of like, I need time for myself to think about what I want to do. I need to stop trying to be everywhere and think that it's the end of the world if I'm not. And even with gig work, I'm like, I don't want to do this. There are things I don't want to do. So why am I stressed about not doing them? You know, like, I don't know. I feel like I get so overwhelmed when I talk about it because it feels like sometimes I'm like, I felt like I was going crazy. Like I've literally felt like I was going crazy. And then you get online and you see other people doing, you might be having a bad day and then someone's having an amazing day or they're putting up their work or you put up your work and it's up for a day and you're like looking at the metrics. I'm like, why am I experiencing life like this? Like life is so short. I just want to like do the thing I love and like hone in on it. So I felt like I had to take a step back because the things that I was doing or working on, I felt like we're not doing well. So things weren't working. And I started to feel like, first I wanted to point the finger at everybody else, like, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. Why is this? Why can't this happen? And I was like, oh, wait, it's me. Like, I'm the problem in my own life. Like, I'm not making decisions. I'm not believing in the thing and saying this yes or no. I'm just going, well, what do you think? Can someone do this? Like, instead of being like, I could do this. I want to do this. Let me do this. Let me take control of like my life and the things and really give it all I got.
It's true that your why can change or may be forced to change. And I know everybody's not expecting that. Can you talk to me about the evolution of your why and maybe give yourself some grace about not being able to answer the question because, you know, you had over 2 decades where you were doing something for a reason and for a person, and it was reciprocal what you were getting back from them, the motivation, the fuel to keep going, and then you don't have it anymore. It kind of makes sense that you would.
Now you see why I feel like I'm going crazy. I wear my big old hat with all my feelings.
That you would be feeling how you feel.
Yeah.
Because whoever tells you how to go through a evolution of your purpose, no one's ever had that conversation with me.
I didn't even realize how much of a why she was, because to like what we said earlier, like you're born into whatever circumstance you're born into, And for me, it was in the Bronx with just me and her, trying to get out of it. And so the why was layered, right? Like, I like this. I feels good when I do this. Like, the little glimmer of like it being about me was there, but the bigger why was like, we don't want to struggle anymore. I want to live a comfortable life. I want to take care of my mom. My mom can't do it. I got to figure it out. But I thought that like that was a small part because I didn't have any other example of anything else. So when it was fully removed from me, the aha moment of enlightenment only came as a reaction. It wasn't like, I don't think it would have came any other way. I think if my mom was still here, I wouldn't probably be the same version of myself, but I wouldn't be this version of myself. And I don't think for me, I would have been asking those questions. Maybe it would have came later in life or from another reason or failing at something and like having to ask myself. But I think when it was stripped away from me of as simple as being able to like, well, what do you think of this? The main person that I would ask, because I feel like I would ask people all the time. I think I'm a little bit of a people pleaser, Libra in me, right? But I think the Libra in me be like, do you like it? So that was natural. But I think that sometimes you can ask that and you're like, you don't care. Mm-hmm. But when I knew that even if I asked 100 people in the room, if my mom was like, oh, you're good, then I think I could be like, okay, that's a little more of a push. Yeah. So when that's gone, that push is gone. You're like, whoa, I have been way too dependent on this because now I feel like it felt like crippling, the feeling of like not knowing if it was good or not and having to ask myself that and honestly believe what I was doing. And I think that's why I think it's so important to know yourself and I don't think it happens. You're not going to fully know yourself in your 20s. We don't fully know ourselves now, right? But like if you take the steps earlier to try to learn yourself little by little, you can be better off. And I just think that on like the smallest sense, like I would have understood my why, even if I was asking myself those questions and not relying, like maybe if I would have went away to school, I didn't dorm. So I like would go to class and come home or like little points of independence to me would have probably lent me more time to think about those things. So I think that when you realize that why, the why is your driving force and you lose your why, you're forced to ask yourself, like, what is your why then? And you're pulling all these things and you're asking yourself and it's still not feeling good. And I think that icky feeling forced me to keep trying to like, okay, try till I find it. And so little, like it could be something as small as like having those conversations or like just not feeling good about myself and being like, well, why? I was like, okay, I have to figure it out. Like I have to find my focal point of like what I want and why I want it so that I can like have a driving force because it's coming out in all these different ways and it's messing up my life. It's crazy.
How can you identify if you have a codependency?
I felt like paralyzed when I had to make my own decision without asking anybody. And I think that as adults, you should be able to make a decision for yourself without having to ask anybody. And you should be able to trust that decision. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a community of people that you lean on and ask questions to and pass ideas around. But I think when it comes to making a decision for you that is solely for you, you need to be able to make it without other people. And if you feel like you can't, I think there is a little codependency there. So I would just say, if you're like, I can make this decision, but if no one was in this room and it was do or die, I had to make a decision, could I make it? I think that is what we all should be fully able to do. Now, obviously, there are many decisions you make in life and they affect other people. So in relationships, you should be asking your partner and with your friends and like those things. But I think you can also be able to voice, I want to do this, but I'm open to what you want. But when it comes to sole decisions for you as an individual, you should be able to make that decision without asking other people. And for me, I felt like I wasn't doing that. in my 20s for sure, and into my 30s until my mom passed away and I couldn't ask somebody else, that I was like, oh, and this is manifesting and coming out in other ways and coming out in the other relationships because I'm so used to asking this person what I should do or what do you think? And there were so many times that I would ask for her opinion and I was still, it would like shape my decision either way. Like I could go the complete opposite. She could be like, do this. And I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that. But there was a reason. It was still a reaction off of what she said. And I think that for me, I have to be able to make decisions without anybody asking me and trust it in my gut and know like this is what I should do.
What's the process of getting yourself there? And it doesn't sound like you're done with the process, by the way.
No, I think I'm on the like intermediate level, intermediate expert. But I think the beginner level is one, I think it's nuanced and depends on the person. I mean, obviously, I'm a firm believer of therapy. I believe everybody should go sit with that lady on the couch. Everyone. It doesn't matter if you don't think something is traumatic. I think we are in an age of needing, like, you need like coping tools and mechanisms and ways to go about things and understand stuff. So I think that is big. I think having time to yourself alone, which I think depending on who you are and your socioeconomic circumstances, that can be difficult, right? Because there are going to be people listening to this, they're like, I got kids, I got 3 jobs, like I don't have time for myself. But I think sometimes we talk about the woos of like journaling or the 5 minutes or the things, but like we need a little bit of that. Like you need a little bit of that to like sit with yourself and your thoughts. And I think having healthy conversations with other people and in other spaces helps too, right? Like meeting new people and understanding their experience and how it like might not be the same as yours, but like what does it look like? I think but I think the biggest thing is sitting with yourself in whatever capacity that looks like. You know, like going for walks and talking to yourself on the walks and saying it out loud. Like saying the thing out loud, you'll be like, that is fucking crazy. Like, that's crazy.
We must talk to ourselves,
you
people.
Must. Like, you have to. Because again, to my point earlier, it's like you're listening to people talk at you all day long on a camera in your face. You're watching podcasts of people telling you, this is what you need to do. You like are in these weird parasocial relationships where people are like, well, this is how it should be. But we don't spend enough time talking to ourselves. We talk to other people. We talk at people. We listen to people, but we don't like talk to ourselves.
I'm glad you brought this up because I play. It seems like to some people I'm serious, but I am also unserious. And I love to play. And so I love the message and saying like, go do something.
Yeah.
And I realize how many people won't start or won't go dabble. And you're a whole ass adult. You're in your 30s. You have the resources. It's different for you now. And people play less when they're more able
to play,
to really fuck around.
I think the thing with play is there's no like, boundaries to it, right? Like it has to be this, or it has to look like this, or it has to be this good, or there's all of this rule, right? It's very free. Like the play of it is free, right? I mean, obviously we love games, but there's a very serious part of that. But you know, like it's not for money, it's not for anything. Like you're just playing, like you're just feeling what it feels like. You're shaking things out. You're trying stuff. You're just going to go because like you have the agency and free will to do so. Before you can't do anything, before you're too old to feel like you can't move. I started a foundation. It's called Best Side Foundation. And it's to make creativity accessible to kids. And I felt like at first it sounded like very vague, right? And I was like, oh, like no one's gonna, what does this mean? But I like designed these pillars to me about like exposing, empowering and educating kids about creativity. But the reason I wanted to do so is I feel like creativity shouldn't be a luxury, right? And like to me, growing up in inner cities and with a lot of like socioeconomic backgrounds, kids are not allowed to play, right? You grow up and you come up and you have to work and you have people to take care of and you have like all of these external factors that affect your space to play. So they don't get to play as kids, right? And then they become adults that never played. So they don't know what they want. So they just do whatever somebody tells them to do and they're unhappy. Or they don't realize their potential. They don't realize they could be the next you or the next me or the next anyone in this room. And so I was like, it started with like an initiative I started with Picture Day. But for me, the main point of it is to like make sure that, you know, from an early age, you are experiencing play. But in doing that, I realized adults do not play, right? And I'm like, doing this with these kids. And I'm like, this is the same thing that's happening with adults. And I'm like, but you have the agency and willpower and time and resources to do so. But you have so much fear because you never allowed yourself to do so in your 20s, in your teenage years, because you're told you got to be serious. You got to be about your business. You got to, that like, you didn't do it. You didn't like, you weren't vulnerable enough to just play. And I feel like, think about with kids, like if a kid is playing and being free, somebody might be like, oh, you look stupid. That looks crazy. And then immediately you shut down. You're like, okay, no. And that's the same with like adults, right? You like don't want to do stuff because you don't want to go to an acting class and look dumb or look like you don't know something. And I'm like, that's crazy. I'm not, even in conversations, I hate online when people are like, oh, that's stupid. You didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that. Now I know. Like, how are we supposed to learn and grow as human beings if we're not allowed to try and to play and exist and learn stuff? And you learn so much in playing. You learn what you like. You learn what you're good at. You learn like what you don't like. You learn that you don't like something and that somebody else might like that, and that's okay. And so I'm just like, lean in so that you can be serious in your life. Like play so that you can be serious about your life and your desires and your goals. And then you can set goals because you know what you like. You're over here setting unrealistic goals that make no sense that you don't even want. Then you get the life. You're like, I hate it here. Like, I don't want this.
Play so you can be serious.
Yes. Please.
It makes so much sense.
See, you feel it.
I do.
I feel
it makes so much sense. And I love that you said that and that you brought that into the room and that I'll steal it for the rest of the episode.
Like I stole your hat, your furry hat.
But so you're this adult who was that kid.
Yes.
You're also using so much language. Like, how do you break out of that? Realistically, how do you break out of that or take the time to realize, okay, cool, I didn't allow myself to play?
So I think I'm very lucky, right? I think that I am very lucky that I have found a way to get out of my own way. So one of my jobs, I was a math tutor. And so I love math. I love it. And I always use this like little metaphor for my life. And what I tell other people, I tell anyone that will listen is that like, you can't draw a circle like with a protractor. You can't draw a circle if you don't have a focal point. There's no way to draw any size circle, big or small, if you don't start with a point, which then you can make a radius and draw a circle. And I feel that way about my life. Like if you don't have a focal point of like, this is what I want, this is what I need, nothing else can become full circle. Nothing else can become big picture. You can't make anything. It's always going to be scattered. It's going to be like all these little dots because you don't have like these anchoring focal points for you. And so I would argue that that is how you get out of your own way, right? Is that you come up with like, what are your focal points for whatever it is in your life? And you only get there by like playing and asking yourself why and having time with yourself. And then once you can do that, you can like step back and say, okay, like this is what it looks like. And now I can like maneuver through it.
I'm all about practicality. And so I can visualize what you're saying and what it means when I hate math, by the way, but this I can visualize.
See?
Like,
because you know, with the little, it is a protractor. Like,
yeah,
you put the point
pencil
down,
and then you drag.
draw.
I don't know what they have these days because math is different.
Well, now they have AI. So I'm like,
but we had the pencil and the
pencil,
machine.
You drew it around, and no matter where you put it is where you could draw the circle. So I think like to get to your focal point, you got to do the work, like the self work. You got to sit by yourself and you got to talk to yourself. I think even you saying like, I talk to myself out loud, I'm like, that is what we're doing. It might look different. Like for some people, that might be how they journal and they read it out loud or they talk. For some people, it might be sitting on a couch and someone's just listening to you. That is a specialist, not someone just randomly on TikTok. You know, like but you're talking to yourself. You're talking out loud. You're saying the things out loud. Like, then you're like going, oh, I want to do this. Let me go try to do this. Let me play in this. Okay, this was fun. This wasn't fun. This made me feel good. This didn't make me feel good. Let me go here. It's like, but the action comes from you like talking to yourself and deciding.
I hear you saying, I used to go, what do you think? What do you think? What does mom think? What's your opinion, whether you followed it or not? It was you. You changed your conversation to, what do I think? What do I want? What do I know? What don't I like? It is possible to talk to yourself about other people's opinions.
Yes, that is 1,000% true.
That is easier for most of us. It is the go-to. It is the, oh my gosh, does this look cringe? Oh my God, what if nobody likes it? Okay, I'm looking. That is the normal conversation. How do you talk to yourself but center yourself in the conversation that you're having with you?
I think it came from experience and age and time. I think it came from not wanting to feel unhappy. I think it came for me from grief of loss and feeling like, what's next? Like, what makes me happy? Getting out of a different relationship I wasn't in, getting into a new one I like. Like, I think like trial and error for me, but also like I just wasn't happy internally. And I started to feel, I think from learning about myself in my 30s, I think from the spaces I was in, the people I started to decide and be intentional about being around, caring, like all of the things, the multitude of things I was like experiencing, I started to kind of be like, I'm not being nice to myself. Like my inner voice is mean. Like there's two, like there's me who is mean to me. And then there's a little person on my shoulder that they're from the Bronx and they're like, you're pussy. And those are the two people that control who I am. And it's like, oh, you're not gonna do that, you pussy. Or like, I don't, it's like, and that was so negative. And it was like, I feel like somebody might have asked me, maybe it was a friend or maybe it was my therapist. I don't remember, like, do you really talk to you about yourself? Like, that's not positive. And I didn't think it was negative. Like, I thought like, oh, I'm being like hard, like I'm being hard on myself in a positive way. Like I'm being critical of myself. But I didn't realize how negative the critique was. Like, I love to speak life into people. You come to me, you're like, Raven, I got an idea. I'm like, girl, you can take over the world. You can do anything. You're beautiful. You're great. Let's see these mantras. I believe in. I believe in people. That's why I feel like that's the only driving force for me sometimes with humanity is I'm like, there are still good people in this world. Like I believe in us. But when it comes to me, I'm like, girl, look at that photo. That could have been this. You could have did this. You didn't do this. Like that's how I was talking to myself. And I'm just like, it was physically making me ill. Like it physically like makes me like the stress of it, the inflammation of it. It's like, it's real. I tell people now, I feel like I'm like this middle 30 person, like, well, this is it. But it's true. It's like, it can make you sick. Like you can feel it in your body and it can make your brain feel fog. And like, it can make your body feel like it's in like fight or flight because you're being mean to yourself. And when you start just being like, this is good. You like this. You want this. You are fit to make decisions. Look at where you've gotten yourself. Look at who you are. You have survived this far. Like little things like that have made me be like, okay, like I'm making good decisions. You got a great relationship. You got great friends. You cook good. You make good art. Like I'm like, little things start to be like, okay.
You can have more than one voice.
Yes.
And identifying them because whoever little mean ass Raven from the Bronx, 18-year-old Raven from the Bronx, who's rude.
She's fucking rude.
Shoots it to you straight. And maybe it's like a little bit of a pessimist.
Yeah. She's like, but you know what it was? I think that she had no experience and she's trying to protect me from how it feels to be judged because she was judged all her life in little microaggressive ways that she took so personally. She took critique and judgment so personally that she's decided she's made this whole little world in my life that was fucking it up, of being like, no, wait, that's crazy. No, you can't do that. Oh, that's going to be like, well, and like, it just was mean. And I had to like recognize her and be like, it's cool, girl. I get it. I know why you're saying it. But like 35-year-old me knows better and can be better and like should be very happy. Cause I don't think people ask themselves if they're happy, you know? And I think that like it's such a simple question, but I don't even think that, I think it's so complex to even identify happiness within yourself sometimes, that when I started to be like, am I happy? I'm like, I'm not even allowing myself to be happy or to feel joy or excitement because of this like inner little monologue that was happening.
Well, it's very such a generous queen for you to give grace to 18-year-old Raven who's so nasty to you, but you know exactly why.
Yeah.
What are the other voices? Because you have multiple. You even did one. I don't know if you recognized
I changed it.
But the nice Raven, the new Raven, probably
I'm
middle
squiggling
30s Raven, she like spoke to you so soft when you brought her into the room. She was like, we're awesome. We can do this. So how many little Ravens are there? And I think this is an important part of the conversation because I think everybody thinks they only have one voice.
No, there's so many. But sometimes they're locked in little rooms in your house and you got to like open them up. There's like little me.
What's her deal?
Her deal is she's fun. Like she's very innocent in like how she romanticizes life. I think she wants to like bring happiness and joy and peace and like she's like that. And then there's like 18-year-old me that is like upset, like feels like she didn't live middle ground, like middle teenager to like, I think high school in general. I think I had ideas of like who I was going to be. Like I went to high school for like architecture and engineering. And then I was going to and then I went to NYU for media culture and communications because I didn't want to take photography because I didn't think it was a serious thing, which again, I'm like, I would have gone back and did that. But so I think 18, 19-year-old me that's very loud all the time feels like she was making bad decisions because she was like making bad decisions with school and she was making bad decisions in her friend group of like choosing the wrong friends, or she wasn't like making the bad choices with guys and who she dated. So she was making a lot of bad decisions to her.
Okay.
And looking back, why she made those decisions, I think she was 18 and like she just didn't know, you know? She didn't have all like, I think when you're in survival and like my mom showered me with love, but like she wasn't always telling me all of her, like, she was more like lead by listen to me, but I had a crazy, crazy life. So it wasn't lead by example. It was lead by like reaction of her example almost. Solid advice. A lot of the advice I should have listened to, but I wasn't listening to it. But even still, it wasn't just like I was watching and going, oh, like this is a great example. So I think that she was just doing things to be liked and what she thought she should be doing. And then it was like resulting in things that made her feel really terrible. So then she was like, I'm going to make a promise to myself and every other version that like, this is what you have to be, or like, you have to care about what people think. Cause I think she was trying to act like she didn't care about what people thought. And in turn was just making
a
bad
slave
decisions.
to it too.
Yeah.
At
a
the
slave
same
to
time.
it. And so she's loud. And a lot of times I think, especially sometimes when people start to think about therapy, they only think about like maybe that version, like kid version, or like, what did your little kid need, right? But that, whatever they needed then manifests into this other person. And that person sometimes can be very loud because that's when you start to be an adult who makes decisions. So I didn't trust my decisions because she was like, you made bad decisions. Look what you're doing over here. And so that's her. And then there's this one. The rest of them, they're just like little, they're like in the middle, but the like big voices are probably those three. And so I now try to have 35-year-old me, which I'm trying, because I do think it's a work in progress. And I will tell you, like, she's 18-year-old me, she runs the show. But like 35-year-old me is starting to be like, okay, like, chill. Or like, she's loud, but it don't matter. It don't matter, like, you know better. But a lot of times she'll like be the first one to speak. And it's like, okay, but who are, like, listen to the other ones. Listen to the one with the most experience. But tap her sometimes. Like, sometimes just tap her and like hear what she has to say. But don't feel like you have to be a slave to what she says. I think your voices should all be having a conversation. And that, where they get, is where you should go.
Thank you. Thank you. You are, out of all the things that you said, you feel brave, to me, is the word that comes up. So even you coming here today and not knowing what you want to put on, what you want to talk about, and what kind of car you're going to get, and all of the uncertainties of life, you still did it and you're here. And I had such an incredible time with you. And I tell Lil B to shut up. Nobody asked for her opinion. And we'll name the rest of them too, by the way.
Yes, we need to name them all. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Little B. Thank you, Middle B. Thank you, Big B. If you knew better, thank you guys for chilling with us.
Thank you.